Hey guys, I finally made some time to do the Halloween bow. One of them that I want to do. I'm not sure if I'll get to do another one before Halloween gets here. But anyway, the bow that we're going to do today is a Halloween funky, loopy, over-the-top bow. It's going to be a bow similar to the one I did for the 4th of July with all of the fluff and all of the detail. So that's what we're going to do today. I've actually made the bow already. I will leave the link to the video that I did where I made one of these. It's the exact same concept, except I used 4 ribbons in this one instead of, I think I used 3. It was the snowball hair bow. And I mean, it's no different than any of the other loopy bow tutorials out there. But anyway, I'll leave the link so that you can see how I actually make this. You know, I did it just to save time. Now, you know, it's the same thing. I just get my needle and thread and go around. So we'll go through all of the materials first. Of course, you need a barrette. I'm using a 70 millimeter barrette here. You need your needle and thread, upholstery thread, definitely. Now, these ribbons that I'm using are some that I've had forever. The orange and white polka dot just comes from Ribbons and Bows. Oh my, I mean, you can pretty much get this anywhere. The Halloween polka dot, that comes from Oh My Gosh Goodies. This little spider ribbon, I think I got that from Hobby Lobby. This is a 5/8 inch and the rest of them are 7/8 inch. And then this Halloween zebra print came from an Etsy shop. I'm not exactly sure which one. I've had these for 2 or 3 years and I was just kind of using them up. But anyway, Etsy, eBay, you know, there's so many shops that have all of the cute Halloween ribbon, and they all came from different places. Okay, I think I said needle and thread, glue gun. I am using the ostrich feathers. I just made a little puff and then I'll show you how to do that. Corker ribbon. I get my corker ribbon already made from Hair Bow Center. Okay. So I'm, you know, of course I cut it up already. I'm also using this Rick Rack that I got from Walmart for $1. You know, for part of my fillers. And then I've also cut up this ruffle elastic kind of ribbon in the lime color. It comes from Hobby Lobby. And this is just absolutely fabulous to me. This is a spider web print tool. And believe it or not, it came from Walmart. They just had it in the like material section, the craft section where the ribbon and stuff is. Not very expensive. I want to say $1.97. Anyway, awesome, and we're going to use that. And then of course I'm going to use my little ghost flasher here. This comes from glitterbugfairy.com. These 2 little items, the spider and the little witch hat, came from Hobby Lobby. And the cameo I ordered from Samantha Treasure on Etsy. And the the little pumpkins, they come from Hobby Lobby. I just glued that on. And the bottle cap image, I'm not sure. It was somewhere on eBay I got that from. Let's see, what did I miss? You may need a Q-tip, and I'll show you what I do with that. You might need a piece of 3/8 ribbon, because once we're done, we're going to use it to cover the center and cover up all that ribbon, or all that thread. Felt pieces, you know, have use for those as well. I'll show you what I did with the witch hat. I just glued a felt piece across there to have a, you know, place to put the glue. And I mean, it's totally up to you. You can, you know, get anything you want. I mean, there are felty pieces, you know, if you don't have something like this, you can go to Dollar General or Walmart and they have like little ghosts and felt pieces. These are just the things that I chose to use. So basically, I'm going to try to incorporate all of those things in there. Okay. Now, you have 3 sections that you're going to want to fill. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you can go, there's 4 rows. I mean, you can go more than that, but it would make the bow really, really big. So, you know, it just depends, you know, whatever you want to do. And of course, I got the glue gun. Okay, so after you make the bow, what I did was I got my stiffener, my Rave hairspray, and if you want to use Stiff and Quick, you can. I am more so a hairspray person because I find it works better than the Stiff and Quick. Once you make your bow and you pull all the loops out, then I sprayed it and let it dry so it's good and stiff. Okay, you want to do the same thing with your fillers. Okay, and I've done 2 stacks already. I'm going to do the 3rd to show you how I did that. You simply just get a towel and you lay your strands on there. It's easier to do that than if they're cut already. And then you spray them and let them dry, and then I cut them after they're dry. Yeah, and that's just the way I do it. Okay, so you've got your bow made. And then you want to get your group of fillers together. And like I said, I used a little rickrack, I used corkers, and then I used the little ruffle elastic. And you may need a lighter too, just to seal off any fraying ends, you know, any kind of lighter will do. Now, I didn't use tulle in my fillers because I don't really care for how the tulle looks a whole lot, but that is another option. If you like tulle, then you can put the little tulle pieces in. Now, I believe the last tutorial I did with the funky loopy bow for the 4th of July, I used a Bowdabra to get my bundles together. Well, not everybody has a Bowdabra, so I'm going to show you a different way with needle and thread that you can put these together. Okay, once you have everything stiffened, and I even stiffened the ruffle pieces. Okay, I wouldn't worry too much about doing the frayed ends with your lighter yet, because chances are, once you get them all in, you're going to have to do some trimming anyway. And then you can go back after you trim and light it up. Okay, so you get your needle and thread, and you want to, you know, do double strand here and knot it at the end. And then whatever order you want to go in, you just start, and you want to just poke it somewhere in the middle, you know, wherever you think, if you want to bend it or whatever. Okay, and then you just, you know, sort of push them down to the end, or, you know, you can push them one at a time or a few at a time, whatever. And so then, you know, I'm going to go to the middle of my corker and just stick it on my needle, you know, something like that. And you just kind of go in whatever order you want to go in. Okay, and I just push those down. Alright, and then I'm going to get a piece of rickrack and I'm just poking it through the middle there. Okay, and you know, I'm just putting them all on the needle and thread in whatever order I want to go. And that's how you make your bundles without a bow dabra or, you know, whatever. You can do it any way you want, but this is very simple. I'm a big needle and thread person anyway. Oh, and by the way, this bow is a giveaway bow, so I am giving this away. Okay, so you want to get it all on the end, and so you've got your little bundle here. And then what I do is, I don't know, I leave, I guess maybe about 6 or 7 inches, and then I cut it off there. And then I tie a knot in it to keep it secure. So you want to double knot it here, whatever. You can tie it as many times as you want. Okay, and then you leave these 2 strings attached, okay, because we're going to use them in the middle, you know, in the little, in between the loops. That's what I want to say. Okay, so you've got all 3 of your bundles together. Okay, so you want to, whatever, you know, go to whatever end you're going to start, and you want to push your loops back. Okay, and one thing that I like to do, and you don't have to do this, but just initially, I like to put maybe just a dab of glue down in there, just to kind of hold them in place initially. Alright, so you take your bundle, you stick it in the middle of the loops, you turn it over, and you take your thread and you tie it off. And this is why you need upholstery thread, because a lot of the other threads snap. You know, just the yarn, or, you know, whatever, the from Walmart and other things. Okay, and the glue just kind of helps to hold it while you're tying it. Okay, and then you cut off the excess string. Okay, and so then you have it in the middle there. Okay, then you push it over. Everything kind of gets smashed, but then you want to go to your next little section. And you're going to, you know, rearrange all of it in just a minute. You just want to get those bundles in first. So I'm going to put a little glue in there, get my next bundle. Alright, then I'm going to put it in, flip it over to the back, and tie it in. Cut off my excess. And then one more time. Alright, you go to the last section. And you're going to be able to rearrange all this. Okay, put your glue in. Oops. And then it's getting really crowded, so it's kind of hard to keep it in. Alright, so I'm smashing it in here, basically, so the glue can catch it. Alright, then I feed my thread around, tie it off. These make such cute bows. You can do so much at Halloween and Christmas and holiday times. Awesome, awesome. You can put these on headbands too, so instead of the barrette, you would just do it, you know, on the headband. You know, with Halloween, there's so much you can add into these. Okay, so that's what you should have so far. These bows just take a lot of preparation and a lot of time, but if you do several of them, then you kind of get into the groove. Okay. Now, let's see. I think, I'm trying to think real quick, do I need to add in anything else? No. Okay, so what you can do at this point is you can cover your ribbon up. You can glue your little 3/8 piece and make sure that you heat seal both ends. And so I did one, but I didn't do the other. Okay, and so basically I'm just going to put a line of glue and cover that thread. You can cover the whole barrette if you want to. Okay, and so it's covered and you can't see all that thread. And let's see, where is my tension bar? Alright, I'm going to put my tension bar back in. And then just to help me stabilize here, I'm going to put the bow on my little stand. Kind of, it's like an extra hand. Now, what you do, what I do, and I mean, if you just want to bow like this, that's fine too, but we are going to make it extra funky and cool. Okay, so what you want to do is you're going to do this at the top and the bottom. Okay, you are going to get the outer loops and glue them together. Alright, so you want to go to your first set, grab that top loop, pull it out, and get all the fillers out of the way because you don't want to glue them inside. Alright, then you get your second loop and pull them out and get them all away from everything else. Okay, and then you're just going to place them together and get your glue gun and go down like toward the middle and put a line of glue in there. I don't know if you can see it, but, and then you just glue them together. Okay. Alright, then the next one should be orange, or what, you know, whatever, if you do it in kind of a pattern. Alright, so I'm taking my next one, and you got to get all the little fillers out of the way. Alright, and then I'm going to glue it to the second one. And there is a good reason that we're doing this, because then it helps add in all the rest, and it keeps all of your fillers in the middle and not going off in all different directions. This is an awesome little technique here. Alright, then you go to your fourth row. And you grab that fourth loop, which should be the, you know, the same as the second. And you pull it out and get all your fillers out of the way, and then you glue it to that third one. Okay, so let that kind of dry. Okay, so at the top, that's what it should look like. You know, the row of 4, how many ever loops. Alright, you want to do the same thing on the bottom. Okay, so just bear with me a minute while I do that. And it's going to, you know, should be like the same 4. Alright. So I'm just going to quickly glue these together. And just real quickly while I'm gluing these together, I'll go ahead and tell you about the giveaway, what you have to do. In order to enter to win this bow, leave a comment and tell me what you do for Halloween. Like, what is your Halloween tradition? Whether that be stay home and pass out candy, have a neighborhood party, dress up and take the kids, you know, like us. Well, my kids are grown, but, you know, I would always stay home and pass out the candy, and my husband would take the kids trick-or-treating. This year, since we, you know, since the Great Flood, about 6 weeks ago, or, well, no, not even that long. Well, no, it was longer than that. Anyway, sorry, there is a reason I have a degree in English and not math. This year, with all of the neighborhoods being flooded out, I think people are looking for alternate plans for Halloween. So that will be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, once again, and then here's your four loops on top and on bottom. Anyway, to win this bow, just leave a comment about your Halloween traditions. And if you don't celebrate Halloween at all, then just leave some type of comment, preferably a nice one and not a nasty one. Alright, so that's what we have so far. Now we just need to add in all of our decorative parts. Okay, and I just wanted to show you something real quick. With the ostrich puff, like I have this big clip, and if your little strands ever become uncurled or whatever, or you have straight ones when you order them, you just simply take like the back of a butter knife, or like I like this because it's thin, you know, you just take it like you would curling ribbon, and you can recurl them. Like these right here are kind of straight, so, but you don't want to pull hard or they'll come out. Okay, I love the ostrich feathers. They are my favorite. Okay, now I will have to do some trimming. Alright, so let me, just bear with me a minute. I'm going to do some trimming real quick. And that's why it really doesn't make sense to do a whole lot of heat sealing until you do your trimming. You basically want to get your fillers pretty much at the same level as your loops. Okay, if that makes sense. Alright, so I'm going to do just a little bit of trimming here. And there's not really going to be a lot of problems with fraying since you did stiffen them. I find, you know, when they're stiffened, it's not so bad. Made a big mess here. Okay, so, and I might go back later on and trim up a few things. I'm just going to quickly go over the ruffles mainly, and the rickrack. Okay, now, let's talk about the preparation here of the rest of these things. I've already showed you how I did this with the little witch hat. And I have a video on decorating bottle caps, if you want to take a look at that. And I just put like the little felt piece on the back of it. With the ghost, what I did was I clipped the ends off of my Q-tip and glued it to the back, and you'll see why. It's just easier to insert it, and then I just put the felt piece on the back. Okay, and you could do that with felties or, you know, whatever. And then the the feathers. Now, all feathers come on a big long strand. Okay, and what you want to do is cut your piece off, you know, whatever size, and you see it has the two ends. Well, you basically then want to bring them together, and I even trim off some of this you know, and expose the rope part. And then you basically put your glue, your hot glue, and then connect them and hold it until it seals. So you'll have one piece, okay? And then I take, you know, one felt piece or two felt pieces, whatever, and put glue on it and then just fold it over on the bottom. Or you could put one whole piece on this side and a piece on the other side, whatever works for you. Okay. And I think that's, oh no, that's not it. Okay, let's talk about our tulle. If you're going to use tulle at the top as part, then you want to cut, you know, whatever piece. And this is how I do it. Let's see, this is about a 14-inch piece. You know, it's up to you what you want to do lengthwise. And what I do is, you can get a needle and thread and do this, but just to kind of make it simple, I'm going to get my bow dabber out here. But you can, what you can do is you can sew up the middle, just a gathering stitch, and then it gathers in the middle. Okay, but I'm just going to get my bow dabber here real quick and try to find the center. And then what I do is just push it down to make my little tulle puff. Notice I didn't put the thread in it, but that's okay. I'm going to use my needle and thread. I just needed something to hold it while I gather. And you see it just does that. This is an awesome little thing, and they sell it at Walmart. And then I'm just going to get my needle and thread. Alright, and then I pick it up, and then I just fold it in half like that. Okay, and then I'm going to get, like I said, I'm going to get my needle and thread here and just sew it together. I know there are different methods for this, different tutorials, but this is how I do it. Oh, and I don't think I have a knot in the end there. That's a problem. Let's see if I can get it to stay. You see, I'm just sewing it up real quick there, just to hold it in place. Alright. Okay, and then basically, you know, I just fan it out. I love this tool, and I'm probably going to have to trim it a little bit. Anyway, that was a quick job, and then I just fold it up like that, and it kind of makes, you know, a fan. Okay, and then once I fold it and I'm satisfied, and I'm just going to trim it a little bit, then I get my felt piece, and again I do the same thing with the felt piece that I did on the feathers. And you know, these bows are a lot of work, a lot of materials go into it, but once you finish, it's so worth it, you know. And you know, if you're just making them as a Halloween bow for your daughter or whatever, I can guarantee you it will be one of a kind. Everybody's going to want it. Okay, and so I'm just going to trim this little piece right here. Alright, and that's what I have with the tulle puff. Okay. Alright, now let's put all these things in place, and that's another issue, is finding where you want to put it. Okay, so I usually start with my feathers first, because that's usually like the biggest piece, and I tend to go to the right with my feathers. I don't know. So what you want to do is you go to the top of your bow and make sure, since it looks identical, you know which is the top and which is the bottom, you know, because of the barrette. You want to clear out a space between your fillers and these top loops. Okay. You want to kind of push these down and get them all out of the loops. Okay, if that makes sense, because we are going to put all of our stuff in here. Okay, so what I do before I start gluing though is I just kind of place it in there, place it where I want it, and see how it looks. Okay, and I have to make room for my tulle puff also. Okay, so I'm just kind of seeing how that looks, and I like it. Looks good. Trying to decide which side. I do like the curlier side here. Alright, so I'm just kind of stuffing that in and just let it sit for a minute, and then the other kind of major thing that we have at the top is, and that's how it looks. Alright, then your tulle piece, let me kind of put this up a little bit so you can see better. Your tulle piece is going to go beside it, or I'm going to put it beside it. And I'm just going to put it in there and see what it looks like. Okay. Alright, so I'm pretty satisfied with the placement. Okay, so I'm going to take this out. And I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on the felt part. Try not to get it on the feathers, and a little bit on the bottom, and be careful because it's so hot, that glue is. And then I'm just going to place it in there and kind of squeeze everything together, if that makes sense. Okay. If you have to shove it down there, then that works. Okay, so that's what we have. I know it's kind of hard to see when my hands are in the way. Alright. And then I'm going to get my tulle puff. Kind of fan it out. Love this spider web tulle, and it feels so soft. It's really soft. It's not stiff at all. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Alright, I'm going to push all the fillers back and shove that tulle piece in there. Get it where I want it, and then kind of push all this back so it will adhere to the glue. Okay. And this you know, creates like a barrier at the top. You see that? How the, you know, it's in between. Hoping you guys can see that. And we just kind of shoved all that in right there, and this barrier now is back here. Okay. Now we have what, 4 pieces left. I mean, if you know, if you want to add them all. And I just kind of play around with it a little bit. Like, I'm gonna kind of put my witch's hat over here. And since the spider is orange and the web part is over here, I'm going to try to put my spider kind of up in the web, and then the hat, I'm going to kind of put it over here. And I really want to use all my pieces. I probably should have made the bow a little bit bigger. Okay. And before I glue anything in, I'm also going to kind of stick my ghost in. Okay. I was going to say I could put my hat right here. See, it's so fun just to kind of, you know, create, but no, I think I'm going to put it over here. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is glue my spider on. Okay, and you kind of want to get the body somewhere where you can put some glue, because the little legs are kind of skinny. Alright, so I'm just going to put a little glue, and you can put felt on it if you want. I think it's fine without it. And I want my spider to look like it's crawling. Hope you can see that. Kind of crawling up that spider web. So I'm kind of putting the little legs up there as far as I can. Okay. And hopefully that's going to hold. Alright, so there's my spider. I know everything's so glittery it's kind of hard to see. Okay. And then my ghost, I want to find a spot for it. And you see how easy the little stick is just to kind of put in there. Okay, and I just love the flashers, because then you kind of have you can go out in the dark and have the flasher kind of thing. I don't know, I like the lights, I really do. Okay, so what I like to do in this case is go ahead and stick it in, and then kind of, well, out of camera range. See, I just stuck it in, and then kind of pull it back where the Q-tip is exposed. Then I just kind of put my glue, and of course I'm out of glue, so put my glue stick in. They make these really long sticks now for the mini glue sticks. Alright, so again, I know it's kind of hard for you to see, but I'm just going to pull back all of the fillers, put a little glue down in there on my Q-tip, and then kind of shove it in. And then push your fillers up against anything you're gluing in, so that, the glue will set. Look at how cute that is so far. Love it. Okay, and then the hat. That's going to be the kind of the tricky part, but I'm just going to put the hat over here. Okay, so you want to find a spot and kind of move the feathers out of the way. And and then I'm just going to put glue all over. Well, let me get that little piece off. I'm just going to put glue all over the bottom here. So I put a generous amount. And then, make sure you get it facing where it's supposed to. Alright. And just kind of hold it on there. Alright, that's what we have so far. Almost done. And then you can kind of just start pulling out the curlies. Okay, and then I've got my cap here. Happy Halloween. And I don't know, you could put it anywhere. I think I'm going to put it off to the side. You can put it down here on the loops. You see how that is? You just kind of, we could put it over here. I don't know, I guess I always gravitate to the right for some reason, but I do think I'm going to put it over here on that bottom loop. Maybe, or just come up some. How about that? Okay. So I'm going to put it on the back. And again, if you have any questions about anything I did, I tried to make it so that the video wouldn't take so long, by making the bow first and making sure everything was stiffened first and cut up and all that. But if you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, I'm going to leave the link to the Loopy bow in the descriptions box, and any other information I can about where I got all this stuff. You can get these ostrich feathers, from the Hair Bow Center. I use what's called the curly ostrich. I believe that's the name of it. Anyway, there are a lot of places you can get it, and you just Google it and go with the best price. There it is, guys. Isn't that awesome? Oh, I just love these Halloween bows. But they do take a lot of preparation and time, you know. I mean, you're looking at least a couple of hours, I think. I mean, unless you're just super fast. And I'm just not fast at these kind of things. So, okay, who's the lucky winner? When am I going to pick the name? I'm thinking, let's see, today is what, October 2nd? Yeah. And I did this a little later than I wanted to, but anyway, I'm going to give everyone until October 15th, which is just a little under 2 weeks to enter. And of course, this is October 2016. So leave a comment below on your Halloween traditions, or just leave a comment. You know, if you don't want to talk about Halloween, that's fine. And you will be in the drawing for the bow. And on the 15th, I will draw a name, post it on Facebook, leave you a notification, and you have 5 days to respond. And if after 5 days I get no response from the first person, I'll pick another name. Alright, so I enjoyed doing this and love these bows, and I hope you guys will make some and send me some pictures on the Facebook page. I'll leave the link to that. And have an awesome day. Thank you.